What you want? Oh, okay. See something? When you're ready, when good afternoon to you, Jamasha Mello. Good afternoon to listeners of DBS Radio. And we are here at the Financial Center, the Ministry of Finance conference room for a press briefing. It is really an update to the nation. Dominica's response to the impact of the trough system in the east and southeast communities. The Prime Minister is at the head table and indicating that we are ready to begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to the members of the press, and thank you all for being here. The purpose of this press briefing is to provide an update to the public and to you on the interventions underway by the government of Dominica and further actions planned to bring relief to residents of the communities in the east and southeast of Dominica who were recently affected by a trough system. I hand over to the Honorable Prime Minister, who will now address you.
Well, good afternoon to everyone. Thanks to the media for being present. And of course, I want to greet the citizens and residents of Dominica, all of whom are following by the media. And also I want to send out a special greeting to the residents of the east and southeast of Dominica. As you know, we were affected by a trough in the east and southeast of Dominica, which caused extensive land slippage and damage to property, both private and public. Unfortunately, we had one death in the village of Piditsufre. Mr. Henson Dura succumbed to his injuries, and I want again to extend to his family and friends my personal condolences and that of the government and people of Dominica. And we stand in solidarity with his family and the entire community of Piditsufre. Now, I have visited these communities. I visited from Atkinson through the Carnago territory, Castle Bruce, and by land. And yesterday, I visited Sansove and Piditsufre. I traveled by boat to Sansove. It was not for the faint-hearted. It was on the Atlantic side. It was pretty choppy, and we had to transfer from the Coast Guard vessel to a fishing vessel to get on shore, and the transfer was a bit challenging. So this is why I invite some members of the media, because I don't think they could make it. But it was important for me to visit myself, to give the people the assurance that the government is with them, and to also look at the response of the government thus far, because we had mobilized medical supplies and also water and food supplies for distribution in Sansove and in Good Hope and in also Piditsufre. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to Good Hope because of two major slides, and there was a lot of water in the slides, so it was difficult to cross. Thank God, I've been reported to me this afternoon that we now have vehicular access to Good Hope. The slides have been cleared. We worked diligently on the Carlis Bridge to restore connection, and I want to thank the heavy equipment operators who have been operating under very challenging circumstances, but the intrinsic motivation has kept them going, as is the practice of us in Dominica when we are faced with an adversity. I also want to commend the leadership of NIPO, and ODM in particular, Mr. Pascal for all of the support, the Ministry of National Security, the Minister, the Permanent Secretary, who have been exceptional in assisting with the government's response to those communities. We keep lamenting the impacts of climate change on us. And sometimes when I speak about climate change, I don't feel that we in Dominica appreciate the impact of it to the extent that we should, and understand the threat to our own survival. We've been visited with the storms time and time again. We knew that we had a hurricane season and we would get some storms, but November, October, no. So year round now, you're being affected by weather events, climatic events, and clearly something has happened. And that something is the warming of the atmosphere by actions taken out of our region, but affecting us dramatically. COP27 was just concluded. I don't believe anybody left, certainly not from the developing world, left this COP with any hope that some immediate action is going to be taken in respect to our struggles. And the vast majority of borrowing that we have done in the last 5 years have all been in response to a natural disaster, and of course external shocks and in the pandemic, and so I want to reassure the residents of the entire East, because we're looking at the entire East, Dalis, La Plaine, Whitaker, Mont John, River Syriac, Frayal, Grafon, the whole of the Calago territory at Kingston and Trezo, the whole of the Castibus constituency from Castibus down to Pilit-Soufrière. All of these areas are being looked at. We will continue to deliver supplies to them, to all of those communities. We'll continue receiving food and water supplies. We are sending a doctor to be resident in Saint-Sauveur. So doctor will be going there this week to be resident in Saint-Sauveur to administer and to provide care to anybody who has chronic illnesses or who may need a doctor's care. And so the doctor has been moved there. We have an apartment in Saint-Sauveur that the doctor will use and be stationed there. So we're doing a number of things in there. Our schools in the East, which have been affected, have received supplies of water, and food packages are also being prepared for distribution where needed, because in times like these, the education of our children, access to school is paramount. And I really want to comment and to commend all of the teachers, some of whom I met in my visit and some of whom I spoke to via WhatsApp calls, who reached out to me from La Plaine and Dalis on the school situation, and I want to commend them for the usual diligence and commitment to the students. Sometimes we criticize people, but we have to really big them up when they're doing a fantastic job. So we'll continue to provide that level of support in the entire East School, entire East, Southeast. We'll also provide some income support to families in those areas. Farmers have been affected. They have not been able to access their farms. They have not been able to take their produce. Those who have access to their farms have not been able to take their produce to the farms. So we'll be supporting this. Bus drivers have not been able to make a daily bread because the roads are cut off, and we'll be reaching out to them. The shopkeepers, some have acted as good Samaritans and have provided groceries and supplies to their neighbors, which is commendable. I know one guy in Saint-Sauveur, whose shop is now empty because he gave out everything in the shop to the people. And that is the spirit that we want to continue to have in our country, that we are truly our neighbor's keeper. And in times of distress, we can work together to make life better for all of us, if not most of us and all of us. And this will be extended to entire, when I say the East, I'm talking about the Canago territory at Kingston, La Plaine, Daly. So I don't, sometimes people say, I didn't hear my village mentioned, so we're talking about those communities. just for clarity and clarification and emphasis. Some years ago, I had indicated to my friends in Pidisofre, a village that I love very much. I have wonderful friends there, and it's a village I've frequented quite a bit. I recall my early days as Prime Minister bringing access and road to hamlets where there were no roads, and Fonblay and all these places. Wonderful people there, wonderful place to reside, but it has its vulnerabilities. And I suggested that we may need to look at relocating. There's one section in the Fonblay area going down there. All of these areas are cut off from the rest of Pidisofre. The road that we constructed there was completely washed away, and to create access there's going to be a challenge. And even if you were to create access to those hamlets, in the long term, it's going to be a challenge. And so we have started discussions with the government, and I have also shared this with the residents who I met, because I spoke to quite a number of them during my visit to Saint-Sauveur and Pidisofre, that we have to look at relocating. Relocating the Pidisofre way, relocating the Dubic way. We have done this before, and we can do it again. So now we are looking at possible locations, safe locations to build new communities. And many of them met me and tell me, Garrett, this time we shall move. We shall move. And so we are aligned now on this. And we'll be working with them. Obviously we'll have the concept and share with them at the appropriate time. But now is the immediate urgent support we're providing. But while this is going on, we've already started the long-term planning to relocate those residents. So we'll be doing that, and of course parts of Saint-Sauveur, parts of Good Hope, and eventually create new communities elsewhere. I'm hoping that we don't have to go too far out of their zone. So we'll hear from them as we did with Pidisofre. We engage the communities, and people share their views, and we're able to find good agreement on where we should locate them. I know that whenever it's raining, the people there will feel traumatized. Many of us still have not recovered psychologically from Maria, and one can understand that people can be traumatized. I met the chairperson of the village council, very sincere and diligent young lady, who was a neighbor, who was a neighbor of Mr. Durand, who lost his life, and she was relating to me her experiences, and she says, Prime Minister, it took me 2 days to get out of the area. I just couldn't move. But she's out and about, packaging food supplies for the residents, and leading from the front as the chairperson of the village council, and ensuring that there's equity in the distribution, there's fairness in the distribution of supplies, and I'm happy to see that everybody's receiving supplies in an equitable and transparent way. I want to commend Sherlon James and others. Sherlon James has been exceptional with his leadership, and so many people, the boat owners, everybody's played their part, and really on the move and on the beat. And in Good Hope, we have Mr. Ashil Grove and others who played a fantastic job. In Castle Bruce, we have so many people there, Ostel, Lockhart, and others, and the parliamentary rep, and Grafon, the part up there, and La playing the part up there as well. Everybody's playing the part to bring relief to the people. So my assurance to the people of the East that we are doing all what we have to do. People know me. People know how we have been able to respond to disasters and tragedy and challenge, and we will rise to the occasion. This is a working government. This is a government that cares, and this is a government that will never abandon anyone, and certainly not the East, Southeast, or Dominica. We remain committed to you in this hour of need, and we'll certainly be there with you as time goes by. So we'll articulate to the residents a number of actions that we will take, but we're looking to bring immediate comfort and safety to every resident. We'll provide some income support to the families, some income support to the business owners there, bus drivers, farmers, shop owners, etc., and so forth. But our commitment there is to address those issues. And also say, this is why we're spending $127 million on the road from Badiab on the way to Atkinson. It is to minimize, if not eliminate, the vulnerabilities, to be more resilient in this. Because we have always known that these areas have their own challenges. And the other phase would have been from Castle Bruce to Petit Soufrière. Obviously, that has to be revisited because we're going to have to look at relocating the entire village of Petit Soufrière. Okay, and this is what we're doing to build stronger bridges, to address the water flows from the mountains, to build better drainage systems, to widen the road so that you spread the vulnerability and the risk to road users. And this is a significant amount of money to be spent on a roadway anywhere in the world, Dominica included, $127 million. Obviously, construction of the road has been hampered by the environmental climatic events. But once this road is completed, then we would be in a much better position to cause ourselves to mitigate against those things. They will happen, but we'll be in a better position to withstand them. And so this is what we're committed to doing, and this is why those areas are being built. And I must say that and you can see the homes that we built. People are comfortable there. There are no complaints, and so this is the approach we're taking. I will end here. As you know, I have as Prime Minister obviously always take the oversight role of the government's response. I don't delegate my responsibility to anyone. I delegate tasks, but not responsibility. And I have been in constant contact with various government agencies and the private sector entities who provide support. Today we had a very extensive meeting with the senior public officers, so to ensure that the government's response is constantly under review, and that wherever the gaps are, we can address it. Before I pass on to our friends who are here, who will give us some updates, I want to thank DOWASCO and the management of DOWASCO, but more importantly, Mr. General Manager, the groundsmen, the pipe fitters. These are real soldiers at DOWASCO. You know, the passion and the commitment, and you know, the desire to bring back potable pipe-borne water to the homes of the residents, you know, is exceptional. And I think that is a story that needs to be written, you know, so that it can be shared to succeeding generations of how we can work together with passion. Because once you have passion in what you do, that is 80% of the work, you know, and it makes work easier for you. I also want to big up, as we say, Domlec, the management of Domlec. I was in Petit Soufrière yesterday, and the staff had to walk all the way to Farplay to check the lines and ensure that it is safe, and to see what they can do to restore electricity. And in Castle Bruce, we were able to restore electricity very quickly. Isolate this, isolate that, cross-check this, cross-check that, and we were able to get electricity and water back on these communities. Obviously, there's some parts of the southeast, and the general manager will give some updates on this. But everybody has been so exceptional. The nurses and doctors in the Castle Bruce Health District and the Lapland Health District have been responsive. So it really has been a really truly amazing response. The port, the DASPA pilots, you know, we're using the pilot boat, you know, and if I may say so, I felt very, very, very warm-hearted to see two of the guys who were there from my constituency, Penville, who were the operators, brave guys, going in this little boat into this very rough seas and doing back and forth. And And I was really pleased to see that they have been, I know that they're diligent youngsters, but to see them on the front line, it was amazing, and all in all to reach to people and to support people, and the boatmen in the small boats, And before I pass on, sometimes we criticize these fishermen for selling the fish expensive, But let me tell you something, I agree. If a man tells you his power redfish is $15, you better buy it, because it's worth every. You can crush the fish eye if you want, because you want to get all your $15 worth of fish, but I can tell you it's worth it and so on, because we just experienced a little thing. These guys go out to miles out of Dominica into these rough seas, and we really have to pick them up and so on. So I will end here to pass on to Mr. Pascal, the National Disaster Coordinator, who has been working tirelessly 24 hours a day to help coordinate the delivery of supplies, and I think he has done a fantastic job. So, Mr. Pascal, I think you come to my right. Oh, I move. Okay, yeah. Oh, sure, no problem.
Okay, good afternoon to all. I'll be brief because the Honorable Prime Minister has touched on a lot of stuff here. So if permit me to just take you back to why we're sitting here. There was a trough system on Saturday, November 5th, and into Sunday, November 6th, which resulted in rainfall amounts of in excess of 13 inches in communities along the east coast of Dominica. We had an area of Formy Forest in Castle Bruce, which had rainfall like 14 inches of rainfall in that 24-hour period. The Met Office did issue a flash flood watch on Saturday, and this was upgraded to a flash flood warning on Sunday. This was communicated to residents via social media, the website, and also I think he had a conversation with DBS also on Sunday morning. So the heavy rainfall along the East Coast, it resulted in flooding, and Mr. Lancelot will correct me, there were like 50 to 60 landslides along the East Coast. As a result, there were road blockages. Some communities were cut off, like for instance, Petit Soufrière, Good Hope and San Sauvé. We had persons initially trapped or stranded along the Odelis Rosalie Road. And unfortunately, we had one death, 58-year-old male, Edward Henson Dura. So the areas affected stretch from Wesley in the northeast to Delis in the southeast. Heavy equipment was immediately mobilized. From Sunday afternoon, there were numerous heavy equipment operators on the road attempting to restore access to these affected communities. On Sunday evening also, we had a search team comprising the fire and the police to bring supplies to the stranded people in Odelis, in the Odelis area. We had 10 stranded persons there. The Ministry of National Security has been tasked with providing logistical support. That means the deployment of water, medical supplies, and general food supplies to the affected areas, particularly Petit Soufrière, San Sauvé, and Good Hope. We've been utilizing the Coast Guard vessels, and also, as the Honorable Prime Minister mentioned, the DASPA pilot boats. And they have been doing a number of sorties to these areas, assisted by the fisher folks in these communities. The police are also providing security and logistical support on the ground stationed in San Sauvé. Thus far, we have sent supplies in terms of food for 800 persons to last them for 5 days. That is just for the Petit Soufrière, San Sauvé, and Good Hope areas. From today, we started distribution to the other affected areas like Castle Bruce, Tranto, Deepa, Mopo, and tomorrow we'll be doing the Kalinago territory and Atkinson, Grand Fort, Rosalie, Mont John and Rivière Syric, and La Plaine, Laron, Boutica, and Delis. So we're covering the entire eastern communities of the island, stretching from the Kalinago territory, Atkinson, to Delis in the south.
Thank you very much.
At this point, we'd like to invite the General Manager of the Dominica Electricity Services Company, DOMLEC, Mrs. Batilio Mackenzie, to update you. Of course, thanks Mr. Pascal for his update.
Good afternoon, everyone. DOMLEC wants to condole with the family of the deceased person from the Southeastern District and to all the persons affected adversely. For us, the East Coast feeder was the primary feeder affected, and that goes from Loda to Dalis, Rosalie to Castle Bruce, Castle Bruce to North End Marigot, Castle Bruce stretch to Port Cassie. Total of 4,052 customers were affected on Sunday. What was our approach? We restored the healthy areas of the affected network on Sunday, and we waited for access to undertake scouting, because you just can't go and restore. You have to ensure what is the status of the line, because you really want to do so safely. And then to restore the area still affected. So as I said earlier, our work commenced on Sunday and continues today. All areas have been affected in that particular East Coast feeder, and the areas restored, most of them. What areas are still to be restored? Formel, one customer, where we have to put up a 4-span of infrastructure just to still have one customer in the Formel area. Petit Soufriere, 120 customers are still affected. Saint-Sauveur, 100 customers are affected. How are we going to do that? Our staff, as Pierre mentioned, have been there every day. We were there today again, trying to see how we can restore. However, we need access, and access, not just to access, as I said, to do so safely. And so as soon as the areas are accessible to us, we will go in and we'll restore, just as we did for the other areas which we brought on quite quickly. And at this juncture, I want to commend the linemen. They did an excellent job, and they continue to do an excellent job. And we really need to commend them, and not only them, but the system control operators as well. We ensure that the work is done safely. And all the supervisors in that line section, they need to be highly commended for the work that they are doing and the work that they will continue to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Mrs. Mackenzie. We also have with us the General Manager of the National Water Company, the WASCO, Mr. Bernard Etinoff, and he will now address you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I want also to empathize, to express our sympathies to the people of Good Hope, Saint-Sauveur, and Petit Soufriere, especially family of Mr. Edward Dura, our systems caretaker for the areas of Good Hope, Saint-Sauveur, and Petit Soufriere, unfortunately passed during the event. We are in contact with his family members. I've personally spoke with his son. And whatever it is that we can do to assist, we certainly will. All the areas on the east and southeast have been affected in terms of water by the trough system. So we had Dalis. The problem there was mainly a couple of broken lines and electricity to pump water in the area. Once electricity was restored, we were able to pump water, and so I'm pleased to say that Dalis now has water supply from the WASCO a couple of days now. In Laplin, of course, we're able to restore water to parts of Laplin on Tuesday. Yesterday, because of the rains again and the damage that was caused subsequent to those rains, the system again went down, but we do have persons, staff members, as well as community persons assisting in restoring water to the Laplin community even as we speak. And it's our hope or wish that water will fully be restored maybe later today or early tomorrow morning in the Laplin area. Monjon River Sirik, extensive damages there to the intakes and some pipelines. Again, limited access, but our staff determined as they are, they did make their way into Monjon and River Sirik. And assisted by community persons, we have been doing some clearing, some cleaning, and some pipe restoration. And hopefully, especially in the Monjon area, we should be able to restore water very, very soon. River Sirik is a little more difficult. The intake is severely damaged, and some pipes lost during the event. Nonetheless, we were able to truck water to Monjon and River Sirik yesterday. We had 2 water bowsers with 2,000 gallon capacity each, delivering water to the communities as of yesterday. Because of the situation of the roads in the Rosalie area, Newfoundland area, those trucks were not able to make it today. So we are hoping that we will be able to at least truck some water tomorrow once nothing happens there in that community again. In Grand Fort, we did restore water, and most of Grand Fort was receiving water yesterday. Because of the rains of yesterday again, and some additional slides, the water has been interrupted. But I want to say at this point, thanks to the men of Grand Fort who assisted our staff in restoring water. And so we are monitoring, we are assessing, and we will certainly see what can be done for the Grand Fort community in short order. In Castle Bruce, we did restore water to Castle Bruce, but there were some major leaks on the system. We have repaired some, and there seems to be some blockage within the pipelines, even some of which were repaired. So today, what we are trying to do is to replace some of those pipelines so that the Castle Bruce community can have full water restored by tomorrow morning. We're aiming for today, but by tomorrow morning, certainly. In the meantime, we are trucking water to the schools, the health center, and to the community. We have 2 water trucks in the Castle Bruce area serving the community as of today. Concord, Norfen, Bataka, and Twizzle, and a couple other parts of the Kalanago territory serve from the Crapo Hall intake. They have been disrupted since the event. We had no access to the Crapo Hall intake. We were, however, able to mobilize an equipment from the Marigot area, and the access is now cleared. The intake is cleared, and we are hoping by this afternoon to have full restoration of water in the area of the Kalanago territory and Concord and Monkey Hill in Marigot. The Wesley Marigot Woodford system went down as a result of siltation. That has been cleared, and water has been restored in the community. Of course, Saint-Sauveur, Mopo, Tranto, Deepa, Good Hope, and Pilit Soufriere, we do have challenges there. Our men have, in fact, walked across to Saint-Sauveur, and with the assistance of some folks in Saint-Sauveur, I'm pleased to report that even in Saint-Sauveur, we have some communities there, some areas there with water, and hopefully before the end of the day, all the communities within Saint-Sauveur will have water, and learning of the restoration of road access to Good Hope, we're hoping that Good Hope will also receive water by tomorrow. Pilit Soufriere is a little more challenging. Some pipes have been washed away in the landslides. And regrettable, our caretaker, who was really knowledgeable of the system, also passed away during the event. But hopefully, we cannot say yet what is going to happen in the Pilit Soufriere area, but we are hoping that something can and will happen before too long. So we want to say to the folks that are so badly affected that we understand their plight, and we are continuing to do everything possible to restore water to them. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks to Mr. Etinoff, and at this point, I'd like to invite the Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Works and the Digital Economy, Mr. Lucien Blackmore. He'll provide an update on the important matter of the clearing of roads and the restoration of access to these affected communities. Please welcome Mr. Blackmore.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Gerard. Good afternoon, Honorable Prime Minister, fellow colleagues, and viewing and listening public. We have had a number of major arteries, road arteries in the country impacted as a result of the event over the weekend. Namely, we have from Boajab, which is where we call the Tarish Pit, going back into Delices, and from Rosalie into Grand Fort, and also from Boajab into Castle Bruce, and then from Castle Bruce to Hatton Garden, Pegua, and also we have from Castle Bruce into Pitit Soufriere. As we speak now, the road, just for basic for traffic, from Bajab to Castlebruce and from Castlebruce to Hatton Garden is all cleared to motorable traffic. Similarly, from Bajab to La Plaine is cleared, and also from Rosalie to Grand Fond is cleared. We have a little challenge in the Bajab to Rosalie leg, since some of you are familiar with the Odalis area, where you have a number of rock topplings normally come in where the road is affected. However, what we have put in place in there is a front-end loader on standby for event that any of the rock topplings will come down. It can immediately be cleared. The major challenge we have now, which would be from Castlebruce into Petit Soufrière. One of the first hurdles was the washing away of the abutment on approach to the Calais Bridge, which was restored yesterday. And today we have cleared the slides and the road blockages all the way up to Good Hope. As we speak now, or recently, maybe in the next hour, and that's one of the reasons that kept me back a bit, we have had 3 excavators now stationed on what we refer to slide number 18 in Good Hope. And it's our expectation, all things held equal, weather and equipment otherwise, by sometime tomorrow, Friday, we should be into Saint-Sauveur. As we know, as it stands with Petit Soufrière, there are a number, as you know, the road in Petit Soufrière is sort of in the convolved, very winding road. So as a result, where you had the one slide or one section of the road, it sort of, went right through the road network. So the challenge we're going to have in that area is to find ways of realigning the road or redesigning the road in there. But our commitment at this point is to ensure we have motorable road at least up to Saint-Sauveur by tomorrow, and to see how we deal with the other issues as it pertains to the realigning of the road in Petit Soufrière. The other issues that we have from the road from Rosalie going all the way back to Delices, as you know, we have a number of very serious water courses in that area. Some of the bridges will have to do further inspection, and that would come afterwards. But however, our immediate concern and focus is to ensure that we deal with the road, to clear all the immediate hindrances that we have from there. And of course, some of the rivers, especially the one of Belfie area in Castlebruce, I know the ministry have received a number of complaints saying that they might be likely done in effect. I can tell the public that the engineers have been onto the site, have done an assessment, and based on what we were seeing of the nature of the soil that is there, that there is some constant seepage going through the blockage, so that it doesn't have too much of a total detaining of the water. So the other issue as well that they have seen downstream, since there was the serious downwash of the slum of the flood, that there would be a very flow unimpaired water course that should, in case that the water comes down in a very rapid or immediate manner, that it should be able to flow quite effectively or quite safely without posing any damage or further safety issues for the residents in the area. At this point, what we're doing as well too is to work with the Ministry of Forestry, since a number of the areas where the water, the blockages have come into the waterway, have a number of large logs in there, huge logs. So it's our intention to ensure that we undertake a joint inspection and to see how best we can get rid of a lot of this logs on the upstream side. The good thing that happening of all of this, if I may say so, is in the Castlebruce area where we have a number of those logs which have came down. Since you know that in the Castlebruce and Carinago area, you have a number of very able chainsaw operators, and they have since started logging the fallen trees into profitable board making. So even out of that adversity, we are seeing some tangible benefit coming out of that. At this point, just based on essential mopping up and getting the road cleared, we're looking at commitments in the region of about $3 million, but that is still very conservative, and of course, work is ongoing, so we'll give you more up-to-date information as it pertains to the time factor as well as the cost. All things held equal, we're hoping that the main artery from Wajab all the way into Casabros and hopefully into Carinago territory, within the next week and a half, we'll be able to do all the necessary mopping up, i.e. clearing of the drainage and the culvert structures and on the roadway of that nature. It will take us another week and a half in terms of ensuring the road is as clean and as trouble-free as possible. I will stop there, and if you have any other questions, I will.
We thank P.S. Blackmore for his overview of the ongoing works in these areas. And at this point, we invite the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education to give us a brief update on the efforts ongoing at the school level to respond. Mrs. Chandler Harrison.
Good afternoon to all. Good afternoon. The Eastern District for us, within the Eastern Educational District, consists of 1 secondary school, and in the areas affected, we have 6 primary schools. But for us, it also includes schools in the Kalinago territory and way down to Bells and Warner. To date, the following schools are in operation physically, though with limited numbers of student and staff present. The Dailies, Jones Beaupere, Monjon, and Grand Forks schools. So they are operating, but with limited number of students and staff. The Casabros Secondary and the Casabros Primary schools are in operation online, where internet and electricity exist. There is no school operation at Saint-Sauveur Primary, and there are challenges in that area with water and electricity. And the school is currently operating as a base for the Dominica Police Force and as a location for storage of food and other supplies. The Ministry of Education has delivered water to all the schools in the area, not just those in the affected area, but also all the schools in the Kalinago territory. And we are preparing to deliver some food supplies tomorrow. Once the area becomes motorable, our school counselors will be on the road to provide psychosocial support. Already some students and teachers, persons from the community are already being engaged using online resources or using the telephone. But once the area becomes motorable, then there will be persons will be physically visiting persons so that we can provide some psychosocial support. And where the schools are operating with limited students, they will also provide some group therapy there as well. We have been assessing the water tanks as it relates to our schools. A number of them are operational, and thanks to DAWASCO, once they are visiting the area, they are also filling up the tanks for those schools as well. There are some that we are working on. We have a plumber working on those, but they will be fully operational soon. A number of students who attend the secondary schools in Roseau also have been affected. These are students mainly from the Delis and Lapland area, but we are making provisions for these students as we engage them online. We are working with the schools and the students who have access to internet and electricity. We also have an issue at the Casabros primary schools. Primary school, there is a area that is threatened because we have observed some land slippage in the back of the school, but we are hoping that with the assistance of Public Works, we'll be able to give a full assessment of the area and to make provisions for rehabilitation as the case may be. So basically that is the situation as it relates to education in the Eastern District. It is operating where it can operate, and where we can engage students online, it is happening, and we are providing every support possible to all our staff and students in the areas.
thanks to Mrs. Hyacinth, and at this point I hand over to the Honorable Prime Minister for closing remarks, after which you will have the opportunity to pose questions if you so desire. Honorable Prime Minister.
I just want to add to what P.S. Blackmore said. We do have access also from Sansove to Petit Soufrière, so we can access vehicular traffic, albeit using the cemetery road in Sansove to Petit Soufrière. I will just allow for questions if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, Prime Minister, you mentioned income support to residents of the Eastern District.
Yeah.
We would like to find out, in terms of the government's making the monies available, how much would that be in terms of an amount? How many people do you expect to benefit from that, and who are the people going to benefit from the income support?
Yeah, well, I met with the senior government officials, including the Secretary of the Cabinet, the permanent secretaries from the relevant ministries, the financial secretary, the ODM, and other stakeholders within the government system, and I have given them some guidance and some of the expectations. They were meeting all day today to do the proper assessments and evaluations and to determine the method of the intervention and the quantum of the intervention and the number of people who will be providing the support. I'm hoping to get this report this afternoon, but just to say that a firm policy position has been taken. We've done it before. We've done it with Petit Soufrière, we've done it with Petit Savan and Dubik, and many communities have been affected. We've done this before, and so it's just a matter of rolling a policy initiative that we have done before. It is ready to provide some kind of support, because in these times we have to empathize with those affected. People's livelihoods have been halted, have been affected, and we are reaching out to provide assistance so that the dignity of the human beings, the people there, can be maintained. And so by tomorrow I should be in a position to articulate the structure, the framework, the processes, and who will benefit and so forth. So that will be done by tomorrow. But we're seeking to have this roll out very quickly, so that folks can sustain themselves in an independent way. You know, although we are providing and will continue to provide food supplies and water and the likes, but you know, sometimes people feel like they could go to a shop themselves and buy their own stuff, and this is what we want to encourage as well.
Yeah, Prime Minister, many people in Dominica still don't understand the magnitude of the disaster in the east. You've also mentioned the possible relocation of some people in the east. What has to happen to declare the area a disaster area?
Well, I don't think there is a disaster there. I don't think there's a need to declare it a disaster area in the strictest of the definition of what qualifies a place to be declared a disaster area. So I don't think it has reached that threshold. It is, people are cut off from one community to the other. There are many landslides. People's lives have been affected. But I based on what I know and my familiarity with the protocols, I don't think it has reached that threshold. And you know, so, but we are moving to clear the slides, create access. That has been done, and that's ongoing. A lot of work has been done with regards to that, and I think, you know, as I said, these are the challenges we're facing where the impacts of climate change is concerned, and our lamentations to the global community, and this is what it is, and this is where our citizens sometimes have to appreciate that some things that the government may have said that it will do, and it has not done, these are some of the situations that I am confronted with. So this week we're to pay $25 million of a bond payment. It's a quarter now. We have to pay for debt. When you're in November, December, you pay 2 salaries within 15 days. We gotta pay the public servants the increments because the supervisor have not done their evaluations over many years and they've been denied their increments. We're also making preparations to pay the police for the rest days that they have been asked to work on. And now we have this challenge that we have to divert funds to help these people. And sometimes people don't appreciate the maneuverings that we have to do in being responsive to the needs of the people while at the same time being responsible. So we have to reach out to these people and we have to give them the comfort, we have to give them the support, we have to give them the assurances that we as a nation are there with them. You understand? And so we will continue to reach out and we'll provide them with the support and so on. But it has not reached the threshold. There is a part of Peter Suffolk, as I said, has been cut off. The road was washed away. And of course we've started discussions with the intention of having those persons relocated as a long-term solution to their predicament. And so while we're dealing with the immediate, urgent needs, we also started dealing with the long-term solutions to those challenges confronting the wonderful people of that part of the country.
Yeah, my final question would be for Fitzroy Pascal, who is sitting very close to me. So maybe just asking the question. But the forecast for the people listening from the east, what would be the forecast like in terms of weather for the rest of the days ahead? Would they...
Well, I cannot really answer that because I'm not at the Met Office.
Yeah, so as I said, he can provide you with that information tomorrow. Or tomorrow.
But just looking at the 3-day forecast, I think it's relatively okay for the rest of the week. And there's a 3-day forecast.
Yeah. Any other questions, please? That's it for us. But I want to thank all of you, the media. Thank you for being the medium of reaching the people. We appreciate it very much. And let's continue to work together. We have a nation to build, and we have our people to mold. And so while all people are distressed, we have to focus on them and provide them with all of the support. And it doesn't only have to be the government. And before I go, I really want to thank Israel Aid, who have been very helpful. They came here in Dominica after the hurricane in 2017, and they've been very steadfast with the support. They were on the ground in San Sophia and Petit Soufrière yesterday, and it was very heartwarming to see them there, and I want to publicly recognize their partnership and their willingness to assist. So let's have a wonderful evening. I go to Portsmouth tonight, as you know. A solid place in Dominica, a wonderful place in Dominica. So you'll hear from me tonight from Portsmouth. Thank you. God bless.
So that's it at the Ministry of Finance conference room. A press briefing called by Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit as an update to the nation. And we heard from the National Disaster Coordinator, Mr. Fitzroy Pascal, who heads the Office of Disaster Management. We also heard from DOMLEC, the manager of DOMLEC, Batilia Severin Mackenzie. We heard as well from Bernard Etinoff, who manages DOASCO. We heard from the Permanent Secretary Acting in the Ministry of Public Works and the Digital Economy, Mr. Lucian Blackmore. We also heard from the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Chandler Hyacinth, giving an overview of what is being done, what has transpired, and what is being done to bring some relief to the people in that area, in the in the southeast and the east after torrential rains really created a disaster in several of the communities. And so that wraps up the press briefing here at the Ministry of Finance conference room. What we'll do now is go back to DBS Radio and the TED Daily studio. It's back to studios.